So much for joining us. Joining us now, former Speaker of the House, a New York Times bestselling author of the great new book, March to the Majority, The Real Story of the Republican Revolution, Newt Gingrich. Speaker, let's please get your reaction to Arizona Democrat Governor Katie Hobbs saying that Arizona should deliver a possible fifth indictment against former President Trump. What do you think?
Well, I mean, she can say all she wants to. The fact is, all these indictments are about politics. Not a single one of them is about the law. And I think the public understands that. The last I saw yesterday, Trump is now at 60% support for the nomination. He will probably become the Republican nominee on the 6th of March after the California primary. And all the Democrats are doing right now, particularly with the Biden problems, is they're proving what total hypocrites they are, that this is not about the law. This is about politics. This is a form of warfare against the person most likely to win the presidency. We've never seen anything like it in American history. And I think it's not just at the level of Trump. You have a Democrat attorney general in Michigan who has indicted an 81-year-old woman for agreeing to serve as an elector. I mean, think about how sick that is. So this whole thing, I think, is the greatest constitutional crisis since the Civil War.
It's some serious stuff. Sir, let's listen to Governor Hobbs here. Watch this.
Governor, would you like to see Arizona's Attorney General follow suit with Georgia and Michigan and Oregon pressing charges against President Trump?
Absolutely. I have been an advocate for holding folks involved in trying to overturn the will of the voters in the 2020 election accountable, and this is part of that process.
Okay, but now her office is putting out a statement, taking that back, claiming she misheard the question. But the point is, Arizona's Attorney General, Chris Mays, is reportedly still investigating Trump. So in your point of view, will voters see through this, that a lot of this is just politics?
Yes.
It's careerism?
Look, it's not careerism. It's a vicious partisan war by the left to try to destroy the person who is the greatest threat to their corrupt system. I mean, just take Georgia. Stacey Abrams was the Democratic nominee for governor. She said 30 times that Brian Kemp didn't win. Do you see the district attorney in Fulton County indicting her? Yet she clearly disavowed the result of the election. You can go through case after case. The Al Gore electors in Florida, who are alternate electors, they did exactly what people are being indicted for around the country by the Democrats today. None of them were indicted because people back then had common sense. What you're watching is an act, frankly, of political warfare. Has nothing to do with the law as we've known it, and anybody who attempts to interpret these things as though they involve the law misunderstands the point. Well, one of Trump's indictments is over the 1870 Ku Klux Klan Act in South Carolina. Now, I mean, does anyone seriously believe that Congress in 1870, and by the way, only Republicans voted to abolish the Ku Klux Klan. Every Democrat who voted against the U.S. government stopping the Ku Klux Klan, because back then the Democrats were the party of slavery, segregation, and repression. And you look at that and you say to yourself, you know, Jack Smith is crazy, which he is, by the way. He was rebuked 8-0 by the Supreme Court when he went after Governor Robert McDonnell, basically for having lied about the nature of the law. So what we're seeing in D.C., in Miami, in New York, in Fulton County, and maybe certainly with the Attorney General in Michigan, we're seeing a concerted left-wing effort to use the law as a weapon of destruction and to do things that are clearly political and not legal.
You know, the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, she's asking for a March 4th trial date for the fourth indictment. That's a day before Super Tuesday, 8 days before Georgia's primary, and she launched a campaign fundraising website just days before the fourth indictment. So when you stack this all together, and we're going into the 2024 campaign season, how does this play out with voters? I mean, we're still seeing, you know, the Trump indictments square pretty much in line with any bombshells coming out about the Biden family corruption probe. Let's show that timeline. So how does this play out? Well,
I think, first of all, Republicans have to understand that they're in a political war that is extraordinary and unlike anything we've seen since the Civil War. The Georgia legislature should have a special session and, frankly, disbar her. I mean, she has violated so many rules and is acting so inappropriately, she shouldn't be the district attorney. The U.S. Congress, frankly, ought to cut off the money for Jack Smith and just make it impossible for him to function after September 30th. They should also, in my judgment, they should go ahead now and get the financial records of the Clinton Foundation, which will show far greater corruption than Joe Biden. And I noticed today that Chairman Comer has discovered in one of those really weird breaks you couldn't write in a novel, that a staff person had written to set up a call to a secret phone on behalf of the vice president then and the president of Ukraine. It happened to come out as a pure accident, and now we know that apparently Joe Biden had a secret phone, which was probably paid for by Hunter Biden's company, and we don't yet know what all the calls were made to it. But that phone, now that we know it exists, when we get the number, AT&T has all those records, and they should be subpoenaed. And we're going to be shocked to find out. But remember, what you have at the national level is Obama corrupting the Justice Department and the Intelligence Service, Hillary realizing she'll never be tried for anything, so she engages in massive millions of dollars for public policy, and Joe Biden looking at all that going, wow, if you can get away with it, why not? And so he uses his son Hunter as a bagman to go around the world collecting money. This is the most corrupt system in American history, and I don't believe it's going to survive, because I think the American people, the more they learn, the more offended they're going to be.
Speaker Gingrich, come back soon. Love having you on the show. Thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so much.